following the Trump campaign. I do understand there was some late last-minute pitching by both candidates. Talk to us about how that went. I suppose, that this would have really been happening in those sort of key states.
Yeah, that's right. Donald Trump spent the day yesterday crisscrossing the country, trying to get his message across to those voters in the swing states that are key to his re-election bid. He needs to win back those states that he took in 2016, states that had traditionally always been Democratic, and states that Hillary Clinton had sort of assumed that she would win without putting in too much effort. So we're talking about places like Wisconsin, Michigan, and crucially Pennsylvania, which increasingly looks like it is going to be the swing state that has most effect on the outcome of this election.
Now, I've been reading online about the possible headlines Americans might then be kind of waking up to, and I kind of recall them to one of our political analysts this afternoon here, and I'd like to hear from you, being in Washington. This is what's being said online about what Americans could wake up to tomorrow. Either Biden wins, shock win for Trump, shock landslide win for Biden. Is that accurate? Is that really what we're anticipating to see? And can one really say it would be a shock win for Trump, given that, we've been here before?
Well, I think if Donald Trump was declared the winner by tomorrow, it would be a shock for many people, given the fact that he has been trailing in the polls consistently throughout this campaign. But of course, we may not be waking up here tomorrow with a clear answer and with a clear winner, because so many people have voted in this election. Turnout even before today, the official polling day, was just under 100 million Americans, far more early voting than has ever taken place in a US presidential election before. And because of that, because of those early votes, many of them postal, many states will take a lot longer to count those votes, and so it may well take more than just tonight to tally all the votes and get a correct total for how many who has won each state. Donald Trump has suggested that he is not happy with this situation, even though it is perfectly legal and is what happens every time there is a presidential election. Postal votes occur each time. He's suggesting that he will declare victory tonight if he believes that he has won. He's suggesting that he will then claim that those postal votes that were sent in early are somehow fraudulent. So there are lawyers for both the Democrats and the Republicans preparing for this potential legal push by Donald Trump if he feels that he is losing. And that is why Pennsylvania is so key, because Pennsylvania is not used to dealing with this number of mail-in ballots, and they have several more days after the election to count them. The concern is that if it takes that long, Donald Trump may use that time to try to suggest that he is the rightful winner, and suggest without any legal basis that those postal votes are fraudulent.
Well, that's really quite interesting to me. Obviously with the lead up to any US presidential election, one kind of pays attention to a lot of the US news networks, and I was listening where they said that the earlier indications will in fact be showing a Trump win, because the focus will really be on the smaller sort of areas where in any case they would have been kind of voting for Trump, those kinds of states that would have in any case been favoring Trump. So my understanding was that earlier on we would be seeing as though Trump is winning, but then at some point see what I'll call overtaking by Biden. Is that not a clear indication of what you see, or what you've observed, I suppose, and this means looking over the years then?
Yeah, this is the phenomenon of blue and red mirages. This is the situation we've got, given that we have got so many postal votes this time around. So in those states, anecdotally and traditionally, Democrats like to vote early and by mail. So it's likely that the highest number of Democrat votes will be contained within those postal votes, which are likely to be counted will take longer to be counted, and the results of them will be declared a little bit later. Well, their total numbers will be added to the state count a little bit later, which could, in areas where there's been a high Republican turnout in person today, could suggest, and those votes will be counted first, it could suggest that the Republicans are in the lead in a particular state because the votes that are cast today have been counted first. But then as those postal votes that were sent in earlier start to be added to that total, it starts to shift back towards Joe Biden, and that is what they call a red mirage, where it looks first of all like Donald Trump is winning, and then it shifts back to blue and Joe Biden. And of course it can do the opposite in states which have a large number of postal votes, where it looks like Joe Biden is in the lead to start with, and then they start adding in the votes that were cast on the day, which are more likely to be Republicans. Republican voters tend to prefer to cast their votes on election day itself, and that could then shift the result back the other way.
All right, Kate Fisher, always a pleasure. Thank you. We'll certainly be catching up with you at a later stage. Thank you very much for giving us that update coming from Washington in the US. That's our correspondent, Kate Fisher.